Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just my apologies ahead of time. About an hour ago, I drank an energy drink. I have coffee in front of me. If you've been following me, you know that when I get an energy drink, I get jacked up. I kind of go all over the place. I normally don't, but I had an early morning meeting, and late in the afternoon, I was kind of dragging. So my apologies ahead of time. Bear with me. I'm going to double check to make sure that YouTube has me. This has happened before where I've gone live and nothing's happened. So, oh, wait a minute. It doesn't look like I am up on YouTube. Or is it?
Nothing's happened.
Okay, so it looks like I am. Okay, here it is. Okay. All right. So I'm just double checking. YouTube can be kind of finicky at times. So that's a good thing. James, welcome, brother. Some very exciting news. And the Detroit Lions went with Brad Holmes from the Los Angeles Rams. And this is a big surprise to me. What I read on the NFL Network was that the Lions really liked that he wanted to bring new innovative processes to what the Detroit Lions are doing, different ways of analyzing new college prospects, pro prospects. Wanted to bring in kind of a new age attitude that he thought that Detroit was really lacking. So what they're doing is something a little different. And if you know nothing else from the Rams, they're very creative when it comes to the draft. They gave up a lot of draft picks for Jalen Ramsey. A few years ago, they moved up heavy in the draft to take Jared Goff. They chose Todd Gurley 10th overall. They chose Aaron Donald 10th overall. Both were surprises. It's hard to believe now that an NFL team would look at Aaron Donald and say, hey, I'm not sure this is a good move, but 10th overall, that was kind of a surprise. And then taking a guy who's undersized and put him on a 3-4 defense. I remember when they were doing this, I was thinking, oh, okay, well, you're going to have to trade him. Well, you didn't have to trade him after all. But it ended up being a really good move. But the Rams blueprint and what they do is a lot different than what they've done in the past. So another thing is that the Rams also went with an old school coach in Jeff Fisher. When they fired him, they brought on Sean McVay, a 30-year-old who's been, basically anybody associated with Sean McVay is getting at least an interview. So I'm kind of surprised. I really didn't expect the Lions to go after somebody from the Rams organization. Very surprised about that. Denver went after somebody from the Minnesota Vikings. I don't remember his name off the top of my head. And it was funny because I remember liking the move and thinking there's a lot of similarities between the two teams. And then I was like, oh yeah, Gary Kubiak. It turns out to be Gary Kubiak was kind of the push over. Gary Kubiak really gave a sign off. So Arthur Smith signed with the Atlanta Falcons. Robert Saleh signed with the Jets. We're going to have to see how those signings work out. I think they're good moves for both teams. I think they're good moves with both teams. And I think that they're really good fits. There's still the Eagles, the Chargers, the Lions, and the Houston Texans are still looking for a NFL head coach. And it wouldn't surprise me if 2 or maybe even 3 of these teams wait till after the Super Bowl. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. As always, if you have a question, I have an answer. I'll answer anything and everything. That's kind of the whole premise of the show. It's something that I pride myself on, is that I can literally talk about all 32 NFL teams, at least for 10 minutes. It's always best when show involvement comes from you guys. So if you guys have a question, I have an answer. Please Don't forget to give me a thumbs up. I am watching this on StreamYard. I have no idea what's going on YouTube. I may have 10,000 thumbs down. I don't know. I really don't. I'm going to go into intense detail for these 4 playoff games, and I'm going to do more of an X's and O's breakdown, some keys to the game, some things that I'm looking for. Not so much of a gambling aspect. I just want to kind of let's just talk football, man. It's Friday night. It was a great time to talk football, man. Actually got a little creative here and made do a little share screen action here. Now I'm just really jacked up, by the way, in case you can't tell. I'm going to be all over the place. I slammed an energy drink. You know how I get when I drink energy drinks. So I'm all over the place. So let's talk about, game 1. And when I say game 1, it's going to be, I'm going to go in order of when they're going to be played. James has now it's Dan. It was actually funny on Twitter. I saw Marvin Lewis was the favorite and Dan Campbell was number 5. So there's all sorts of names going on. Personally, I think Dan Campbell really fits in with Brad Holmes. I think that really meshes well together. I think it's a great fit. So I would really love that, by the way. I like this a lot more than Salah. Marvin Lewis would also be interesting, to tell you the truth. But I'll be honest with you. Since you have a young GM, if I remember right, he's 41. He's younger than me anyway. It leads me to think that he's going to go younger. Now, Dan Campbell, I'm not using Google. I think he's in the 40s. But Marvin Lewis, I know, is in the 60s. So I'm going to call Dan Campbell young, even though there's a good chance he may be older than the general manager. But when I say young, it would be technically his first time as head coach. I think if I remember correctly, Dan Campbell stood in as an interim coach before. But I'll be honest, Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes would be very, very interesting. But here's the fun part, is that when we talk about the draft, anything could happen with the Detroit Lions. They could trade up, they could trade down, they could trade for somebody. You have no clue. Anything's open. Anything. And that's kind of the fun thing when you hire a name like Brad, almost Brad Holmes. That's kind of thing what you get. So, but I like that move. I saw something today with Marvin Lewis, so that leads me to believe that different sources are leaking different information, which leads me to believe that the Detroit Lions are really going into a in-depth study. And that's a good thing if you're a Lions fan. Good thing. So I really like what the Lions are doing so far. I have the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to go in order. Los Angeles Rams against the Green Bay Packers. I have 3 keys that I'm really looking at. Aaron Donald versus a banged-up offensive line. I can't pronounce the left tackle's name. Backyardy. I'm going to butcher it. He's out. If you've been following me for a while, you know how important I think the offensive line is, specifically the left tackle. Aaron Donald, yes, I know he's banged up, but ultimately this is a really, really good defense. That's right. Mike brought it in here. And he did a good job too. It was kind of a weird situation that he was thrown into, but correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he did a pretty good job in those few games. I mean, not good enough for the Dolphins to hire him, but I don't think there was any way. But yeah, that's right. And correct me if I'm wrong, Mike, but he did do a pretty good job. The players really seemed to play hard, and that's how I determined if he did a good job or not. As I remember, here's a tight ends coach who came in, and they were playing hard. So correct me if I'm wrong, though, Mike. But that was the impression that I got, and I think he would be a good fit in Detroit. Ice Wallow come. I can't believe I missed that. Watching from the UK. That is awesome. Man, since you're new, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, man. And I can't believe I fell for the name. It's awesome. Hey, man, glad you're watching. My first UK fan. That is awesome. A UK fan. That is great. But Aaron Donald against a banged up offensive line. Yeah, I know he's banged up, but yeah. All right. Really appreciate it. Didn't know you did. All right. Yeah, he did do a good job. He did do a good job, if I remember right. So I'm glad you're able to confirm. I think that would be a great move. A great move. This is the number one thing I'm looking at. Yeah, Rodgers is mobile. Yeah, Rodgers can release the ball quickly. He has a great command of the offense. But Aaron Donald's the type of guy that can just disrupt things, even with I think it was a cartilage injury. Basically, from what I've gathered, is that he's not going to be 100%, but he's still going to be disruptive. Against a banged up offensive line, it's a big thing. It's a big deal. But he's not 100%. So there's a lot of wiggle room there, but I'm going to pay attention early to how disruptive pressure is from the inside. If you could have a pocket and he gets pressure from the outside and Rodgers is able to step up, it's no big deal. But if he's getting pressure from the inside and he has to move from side to side, I'm not saying that he's not going to go ahead and do anything, but you never know. All right, I got another UK fan. All right. The names are coming in hot and heavy today. I promise these are not my burner accounts. So got some interesting names coming in here today. Another thing I am really looking forward to is Jalen Ramsey versus Devonte Adams. One thing that the Rams will do is they'll have Jalen Ramsey shadow Adams pretty much the whole game. Pretty much the whole game. That's kind of what you're getting. And who wins this? Because here's the thing. You're going to throw to Devonte Adams no matter what. And as good as Ramsey is, he's not going to shut him out completely. Is Ramsey going to get a pick? Is he going to limit Adams enough that you have to win with other guys? It's kind of Patriots 101, where you go ahead and you take out the number one guy. You go ahead and you take out the number one guy. Hey, if you're going to have Green Bay beat you, beat them with the running game. Don't have Rodgers beat you, and don't have Devonte Adams beat you. Key. Is Ramsey going to get any help? That's another thing you got to look at. Are you going to take away from somebody else? Are you going to, press safety over the top? I'm going to pay a lot of attention to that. How are they going to cover Ramsey? Something I think is key. The Rams running game versus a Green Bay rush defense. You'll hear different things. I am not really sold on the Green Bay rushing defense. This isn't a terrible unit. Don't get me wrong, but look what Akers did last week against Seattle. 28 carries, 131 yards, and a touchdown. 2 receptions, 45 yards. The over-under on Akers rushing yards, I believe, is 75 by my bookie. If you want to, I can get an exact number. I can go ahead and I can look it up. I was looking at some prop bets before the show. I didn't see anything that really stood out, but this was a good one. So if you want to go ahead and take it. Here's another thing that really has me scared about this game is Matt LaFleur is 0-2 after bye weeks. Now, somebody brought up that last year they beat Seattle after getting a bye. They were the 2 seed and had a bye, and they won 28-23. They almost lost that game, but here's the thing. In the regular season, he's lost both games, 29 and 28 points. That really disturbs me because, I mean, bottom line, you have a 13-3 team 2 years in a row. But one of those losses is after a bye and it's a huge blowout. It leads me to believe that something's off there. So it's something that if I'm a Packers fan, I would be very worried if I don't jump out to a big lead. So something I thought would be kind of fun is how the Rams can pull the upset. I mean, let's face it, the Rams are the underdog in this game. Even if you think that they're going to win, and I think there is a chance that they could, they're the underdog. So I thought it'd be kind of fun to say how they can pull the upset. I messed this up. I am embarrassed. It's actually teacher beats student. Matt LaFleur. Sorry about that. Matt LaFleur came from the Rams. He was actually the offensive coordinator. Then he left to take over the offensive coordinator position in Tennessee. Then he got the head coaching job in Green Bay. But just a few years ago, he was in LA and he was learning under Sean McVay. As I've been saying, anybody associated with Sean McVay was getting a head coaching job. So that's kind of point number one right there, is that for example, Andy Reid has a really good track record against going against his opponent or going against his disciples, where Bill Belichick, arguably the greatest coach of all time, has really struggled going against former assistants. So that's something I'm kind of wondering what happens here. How does Sean McVay do against guys he's coached against? He's a lot of his assistants, a lot of his position coaches have gotten other jobs. But off the top of my head, this is the first time that I know of that you're seeing him. Well, yeah, I think it is. So bottom line, can the teacher beat the student? That's something I'm thinking about. Overall, not taking anything away from LaFleur, I think that the coaching edge goes towards the Rams. Great D versus a great quarterback. You know me, I'm an old school guy, but a lot of times teams get hot in the playoffs with a great defense. They can go ahead and win. Bottom line, I mean, what are you looking at after all? I mean, you're looking at the best defense in the National Football League. I mean, they're number one in points, number one in yards, number one against the pass, and they're number one in passing touchdowns against. So that's kind of what I'm looking at, is because bottom line, if they do get an early lead, that's what you want to do. You can go ahead and get Rodgers rattled a little, which is very, very hard to do. But bottom line, you do have the best defensive player in football in Aaron Donald. You have some pretty good pass rushers. You have a good defense. You want to get out to an early lead. That's how I see it. I think if the Rams get out to an early lead, and I didn't put that as one of my points, but I think ultimately if they got to an early lead, that's very scary. Conversely, though, if they get behind early, are they really going to be able to score in bunches? That I'm not sure about. But I think Green Bay will have a problem putting some points up regardless. Akers, in order for the Rams to win, Akers has to have a massive day. Make no bones about it. If Akers doesn't have a big game, they're not going to win. Plain and simple. This has to happen. All right. Akers has to have a big game. Golf, he's definitely not 100% coming back from surgery. They didn't win. They don't win against Seattle without Akers having that monster game. So the keys, I'm nose itches. The keys, the victory. Oh, sorry, I really guess. What's that when your nose itches? Somebody's thinking about you or wanting you or something like that. Bottom line, teacher beats the student. The great D against one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play. Akers has to have a big game. Those are the three big points that I see. And, of course, I want to know what you think. Drop a comment below. Again, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. Leave a drop in the comments section. Also, that helps the algorithm. Like I said, we got some unusual but interesting comments from the UK today. So that's kind of cool. I've never had UK comments before. So it's a new thing for the Dan Show. All right, I apologize. My nose is really itchy today. I promise I did not do blow before the show. That is my promise to you. Next up, the Baltimore Ravens at Buffalo. The keys to the game is going to be Josh Allen against Baltimore's man defense. I heard some stat that against man defense this year, Josh Allen's thrown for like 19 touchdowns. He's excelled against man coverage. Baltimore will play a lot of man coverage in this. They have 3 really good corners. And what you're going to see is Baltimore use those 3 corners, and then you'll see a variety of different different formations and setups. Oh, Mike, great point. I'm sorry I didn't mention this earlier. It's practically a heat wave for Green Bay. I think kickoff, it's supposed to be about 40 and then drop. I'm sorry. I want to say 40 or 30, but I'm telling you this as somebody who's been to Green Bay in late January and February, 30 to 40 degree weather is warm. People are saying, well, golf will still be cold. Look, if you're a professional athlete and you're playing 30 to 40 degree weather anywhere in the country in January in the playoffs, it's perfect. It's perfect. Trust me. So yeah, the weather is actually going to be, it's a heat wave for Green Bay. Trust me when I say this. It's actually going to be very nice. Another big key for the Rams. So, but I don't remember if it was 30 or 40 off the top of my head, but it is something I meant to bring up. So, Mike, thanks for bringing that up. Yeah, the weather is supposed to be nice, practically a heat wave for Wisconsin, especially in January. This is very key because, like I said, Josh Allen versus Baltimore's man defense. Because what I'm looking at is Buffalo's a passing team. All right, Buffalo's a passing team. And when you play man defense, there is a chance that you're going to get a big play, but there's a chance that you're going to give up a big play. The key is which one do you win more of? So, got some good comments here. Funk, what's good, chat? Just stopping in to hit that like button. Have a good show. But hey, Funk, man, I'm glad you chimed in. If you get a chance to come back, I'd love to know what you think of Hopkins. Of course, we'll talk about him more later on in other shows. And I'm also very excited to see what the Lions do as far as the head coaching situation, man. Thanks for giving me a shout out, Funk, man. I appreciate it, man. Music City guy, what is up, man? Hey, man, what is up with you, brother? It looks like your offensive coordinator left and took the job with the Atlanta Falcons. It's a loss, but keep in mind, over the last couple of years, they've lost a couple of offensive coordinators. They have not missed a beat. So I don't really expect the Titans to kind of go down. So it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason. But all in all, I don't think they'll take that much of a dip. But I'd be curious to know how you feel. How do you feel about losing your offensive coordinator for the second time in 3 years, if I remember right? Yeah, it's 3 years. So next thing about the Ravens versus the Bills is the Bills' rush defense versus Baltimore's rushing offense. Lamar Jackson had a big game against Tennessee. The running game for Baltimore the last couple of weeks has been as good as it gets. You're not going to find a better running team, and the Bills' running defense is suspect. It's kind of funny because when you think Buffalo, you think cold weather team, you think running the ball, you think great defense. At least I do, and that's not what Buffalo is. Buffalo is a passing team with a suspect defense. Now they have some good players on defense, but the defense overall is not good. And this, to be honest with you, I think that they would rather face Kansas City than Baltimore, because even though Kansas City beat them, they're more of a passing team. When Kansas City actually went up to Buffalo in the regular season, they punched them right in the mouth and ran the ball for 250 yards. So I'm kind of wondering, what are they going to do against the Ravens? Do they go 8-9 man front and threaten, say, hey, look, we're just gonna go ahead and, God be is throwing the ball. It's going to be interesting. Kind of leads to my third point here, and it's the pace of the game. I think Baltimore, quite simply, is going to play ball control. I think they're going to run the ball. I think they're going to try to limit the possessions. Basically, the old school philosophy was that you get 2 possessions a quarter. Nowadays, with a lot more hurry up offenses, a lot more of a college feel, you're getting sometimes 3 possessions in a quarter, which of course that's 12 in a game. I mean, you could easily score, and nowadays you could have, 3, 4, even 5 touchdowns. But when you have fewer possessions, let's just say 7 or 8 in a game, and you get half of them are touchdowns, you're looking at 21 points. Bottom line, I don't see a way Baltimore holds a second straight team to under 14 points. But if they do, they obviously win the game. But here's the thing. You're playing, if you're going to play man defense, you're probably going to give up some big plays, which is the key for Buffalo. I think Buffalo is going to make some big plays. The question is it going to be pick sixes? Bottom line, Marcus Peters, former Chief, he makes big plays, and it's a good thing. He makes big plays, and it's a bad thing. He will roll the dice. When you play man defense against a passing team, you're rolling the dice. You're going to get big plays either way. I think if it's big plays split right down the middle, I think it's really an advantage towards Baltimore, because I don't see Buffalo stopping Baltimore. But does Josh Allen have more big plays go his way? Do they get an early lead and freak Baltimore out? Because bottom line, that's kind of what happened last year in the playoffs. Tennessee got up, and all of a sudden Baltimore wanted to throw the ball. They threw the ball 59 times in the loss to Tennessee last year, which I'm thinking to myself, they weren't behind by double digits till I think it was late in the third quarter. So I don't see them doing that again. But it does scare me, man. It does scare me. So that's kind of the key. Buffalo's going to have big plays. The question is it for or against? Music City guy says, excuse me. It will be tough for the Bills. Baltimore has an unusual and prolific rushing attack. Absolutely. Yeah. Here's the thing. Buffalo's not going to stop. Is not going to stop the running game. The Buffalo, they'll make some stops every now and then. I mean, don't get me wrong, but ultimately, this isn't a team that is going to go up to Buffalo and get shut down to 10, 12, 13 points or something like that. I think that this offense is better than the Colts offense that scored 24 on them. I would realistically think that there's a very good chance that Baltimore is going to score 24, 28 points. You just got to score more. That's kind of what I'm thinking. Alex, what's up, brother? He says, how's it going, Dan? I was thinking about staying off tonight due to the complete incompetence of my team, but life goes on. Buffalo will win. Yeah, it's not been good news, but you haven't hired a coach yet. Bill O'Brien, correct me if I'm wrong, but he wanted to stay in the NFL. He did take the offensive coordinator position at Alabama. I'll be honest. I think he'd be better suited more for the college ranks. So take solace that he's not going to come back to the NFL, at least for 2021. So is that a positive? I don't know. Don't worry, Deshaun Watson will stay in Houston, and brighter days are coming, man. Brighter days are coming. Buffalo will win. We will see. I'm hoping the Bills. Yeah, that's key. That's going to be extremely key. The Bills will need. I think the Bills need to win the turnover battle. Maybe needs a strong word, but yeah, it's something that I really think that there is going to be turnovers in this game. Baltimore is going to be very aggressive. I think Buffalo will have to show a little creativity on defense, something that they usually don't do. But I think you could see some blitz, some heavy 7-8 man fronts, try to force Lamar Jackson to throw. So I do think there'll be turnovers in this game. And I think the team that wins that turnover, it's like saying water's wet, but the team that wins the turnover battle is much more likely to win. Bills defense is much better than Tennessee. I believe they can hold them from running and force them to pass. Bills have a better passing attack, and I think that's what's key for the Bills. I do agree with you. The Bills have a much better passing attack. Their passing attack is one of the best passing attacks in the National Football League. But the thing is that Baltimore does have 3 really good corners. their offense is better than Tennessee's. Here, the thing is with Tennessee is that, the defense is bad, but I don't know if Buffalo's defense is better at stopping the run. I really don't. I'm really not sure about that. But I have a Bob getting a job and Esther B staying. Sowers, yeah. For those of you who don't know, Esther B is one of Alex's closest friends. sorry, Alex. He is staying in Houston. Basically, if you're a Texans fan, you don't like this guy. But basically, him and owner McNair went ahead and had a talk. He's going to stay. And Deshaun Watson's been public about wanting to be more involved in the coaching, the head coaching hire, which makes a lot of sense. Can Baltimore win this game? Yes, they can. They have the better D. They have the better running game. If you look at football, playoff football 101, who wins? Better running game, better defense. It's just common sense, right? Well, on the Buffalo standpoint, who usually wins in the playoffs? It's a team with the better quarterback. Look throughout NFL history. Who usually wins? The team with the better quarterback. That's what you see. Another thing is that Buffalo does have momentum, and home field does mean. I know that you're not playing with 80,000 fans, but there's an electricity that's kind of felt with Buffalo. I saw something on Twitter where, you know how the Bills fans break tables, where they threw a baby onto like a cake. It was like a cake, and they threw the baby, and some people were appalled. I mean, you know, I don't have kids myself, but I mean, it's kind of weird you're throwing babies. I mean, Buffalo fans are going nuts. Bottom line, there's going to be an electricity in Buffalo. There's going to be an electricity in Buffalo. Not every, you could say every team has a home field advantage. I think it's a little more for Buffalo. Of all the four teams that are playing this weekend, I think Buffalo has the largest home field advantage. I know it may sound crazy because you got the LA Rams going to Green Bay. It's going to be 30-40. I didn't touch base on this. It's supposed to snow. Lamar Jackson, growing up in Florida, has never played in snow. Usually the better running team, but for a team that's never played in snow, is it something? I'm not sure. But bottom line, momentum in home field is big. I can make an argument for both teams. Do you think the better defense and the better running game, or do you think the better quarterback and better momentum? I want to hear from you guys. Music City guy. Maybe Baltimore have a letdown after they felt like they accomplished something winning last week as a 3-point favorite. I normally would say yes, but I think there was a lot of bitterness when they were 14-2 last year and lost. I think that this is a team that thinks that they're a legitimate Super Bowl contender. You have a good point. You do have a good point. I'm just throwing a counterpoint out there. Because you have a head coach who's won Super Bowls, maybe not as much. If you had a coach who won a playoff game for the first time, like Sean McDermott did in Buffalo, I might be thinking Buffalo feels that way. But it's kind of hard to believe that because bottom line, Buffalo's lately been hottest team in the NFL. Almost everybody. I know my boy Mike believes that Buffalo can win a Super Bowl, and that's kind of what a lot of fans think. I could argue that both ways, but you do have a good point. I don't think that's the case because John Harbaugh's won a couple Super Bowls as a head coach. I think he has his team focused on trying to move to the next spot. Personal opinion only. Yeah, Mike, you're 100% correct. The city, the team, they are really jacked up. I mean, they're throwing babies into cakes. If you follow me on Twitter, I think I reposted this, but I was like, I don't know if it's child abuse or I'm itching my nose a lot. I promise I did not do some blow before the show, but yeah, my nose is itching like crazy ever since I started the show. I have no idea why. I'm going to drink some more coffee. couldn't be more correct here, Mike. Buffalo is jacked up. They're as jacked up as me on energy drinks, cocaine, and coffee. I promise I did not do any before the show. McNair said Watson will be much more involved in the coaching, which sounds great, but I don't trust the man as far as I can throw him, and I can't even touch him. You have to admit, it's a little disconcerting. If I was a Houston fan, I would be furious because I've been waiting for a good quarterback to be teamed with one of the greatest defensive players of all time in J.J. Watt, and then you get the good quarterback, and then you have a complete shit show. I understand. I really do understand. It's probably not any consolation, but I've been a Chiefs season ticket holder since '89. And there was multiple years where you're the number one seed and went 0-1 in the playoffs, one and done. I loved Marty Ball. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Marty Ball or not. I loved Schottenheimer. Terrible playoff record. If there's a strong win, then Baltimore will win with a better run game. If there isn't, then the Bills will win with a better passing game. I don't think there's a strong win, but there is supposed to be snow. Which actually I think is the snow's actually Baltimore's advantage, even though Lamar Jackson's never played in snow, where Josh Allen played in Wyoming, played in the snow in Wyoming, and I don't think it will affect him. But I don't think NFL teams are really bothered by snow or wind. I'm sorry, snow or rain. Teams are bothered by wind, and wind could be a factor. It could absolutely be a factor, but I think that's a factor definitely towards Baltimore, who has the better kicker, who relies more on the running game. If it's just snow by itself, I could actually see that being an advantage to Buffalo. But this, to me, out of all the games, I have opinions on all four playoff games, and I'll show you at the very end who I'm going to pick. But this is the one that I honestly can make a strong case either way on this one, and I can make a strong case of which team could win either way. More caffeine helps with an itchy nose. I am going to drink some more coffee. Listen, about an hour before the show, I drank an energy drink. I had to wake up at 5:30 for an early morning meeting. You guys don't hear me, bitch. I'm sorry. Early morning meeting. So about an hour ago, I drank an energy drink. I'm got a half a cup of coffee left. I'm jacked up. My nose itches, but I promise it is not blow. Yeah, James, me and you both, brother. Me and you both, man. That's the old school of us, man. Old school. Next, we have Kansas City, Cleveland versus Kansas City. There's three keys that I think that I am gonna pay attention. Okay, are these keys to the game? They're keys that I'm looking at. Just my opinion. Just things that I'm gonna pay attention to. Mahomes against a banged up secondary. Denzel Ward is coming back. So is Kevin Johnson. That's big for the Cleveland Browns. Bottom line, they're not healthy. Sammy Watkins did not practice today. I think he is officially out already. For the Kansas City Chiefs, it is a big loss, but ultimately you have Patrick Mahomes against a very banged up Cleveland secondary. Even if they're healthier than they were against Pittsburgh, your number one corner is not 100%. Kevin Johnson was, I think, the number 3 corner. He's not 100%. Throughout the year, they've had issues with the secondary, and there's been issues and problems. So, if you're a Chiefs fan like I am, I'm very excited about this. So Mahomes against a banged-up secondary, advantage Kansas City, of course. You have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt against the Chiefs' run defense. The Chiefs' defense is not bad, but it's hardly great. You're definitely looking at one of the weaker defenses in football. Not bad defense. They have some good pass rushers. They have a good defensive line, but ultimately this is what I'm looking at. Because if you're the Cleveland Browns, you want to run the ball. You want to shorten the game. You don't want to give the ball to Mahomes over and over and over again. What you want to do is long drives, control the clock. Ultimately, if the Browns win this game, both Chubb and Hunt are going to have big games. A lot of you outside of Kansas City may not know this, but Mitchell Schwartz has been a mainstay on the right side of the offensive line, one of the best offensive linemen in the National Football League. However, he has been banged up and has not played for the majority of the season, and it's not been an issue for the most part. But Myles Garrett, they move him around quite a bit. Are you going to have him go against your Pro Bowl left tackle? Or are you going to have him go against a backup right tackle? I think that what you do is Myles Garrett has to have a big game. Basically, I can put Myles Garrett, but ultimately, you have in Kansas City, you have a passing team. What do? You absolutely have to have Myles Garrett needs to have a huge game in order for the Browns to win. Music City guy, I think the Browns absolutely have to have turnovers to steal possessions and a big game from Garrett. Absolutely. Browns running game looked invincible last week. Large yards after contact was huge. Absolutely. That's something that's going to be big. Kansas City needs to wrap up and prevent them from getting yards after contact. Both Hunt and Chubb just really bounced off a tackler, something that you normally don't see from the Steelers. Steelers easily have a better defense in Kansas City. So KC has lost to worse before in the playoffs due to themselves. Kansas City can only – you're 100% correct. Because I'm a Chiefs fan, you can easily argue this, but I think going into the playoffs, the best team was the Kansas City Chiefs. When they play at their best, there's not really a team that can beat them. Chris Jones and Frank Clark are really good defensive linemen. The Chiefs linebacking core is a little weak. The Honey Badger, the Chiefs actually plays a variety of different positions. I'm going to call him a safety, but he's used as basically a Swiss Army knife all over the field. Named first team All-Pro. Even as a Chiefs fan, I'll catch some hell if another Chiefs fan's watching, but I think it's debatable if he earned it. I'll be honest. He's played good. I don't know if he's great. Ultimately, though, I mean, this is a team that has the best player in football in Patrick Mahomes. One of the best receivers, the best tight end. CEH didn't practice today. He's not officially out, but very limited either way. But there's talent all over this Kansas City Chiefs offense. And the defense is good. Not great. I agree with Alex here, but keep in mind I'm a Chiefs fan. I think the Chiefs can only beat themselves. How the Browns can pull the upset. I mean, this is very simple. Ground game. It couldn't be more obvious. You run the ball. You control the clock. You keep Mahomes on the bench. It's very, very simple. How do you beat Kansas City? Have Mahomes do what I'm doing right now, sitting down. The more you give Mahomes the ball, the more likely he is to score. I mean, Mahomes is the best player in football. Maybe this. Okay, just this season. I'm all time. I mean, it was actually funny. Something on Facebook had best quarterback of all time in Y, and I didn't even want to get involved. And I need to do a retro show. James has been asking. I've been wanting to do it because I can go Johnny Unitas. I can go Brady. I could go Montana. I mean, yes, my nose is really itching today. I could do several different names for best quarterback of all time. Best running back of all time, there's only one. It's Jim Brown. Greatest receiver, more than likely, that's Jerry Rice almost universally. But, I mean, great topic of conversation. One of these days I am going to do a retro show. So, Mahomes was the best player this year and last year. Brady is all time. I couldn't really argue that. You want to tell me Jim Brown over Brady? Maybe. But this year, is there anybody that you would want rather than? And by the way, somebody tried to tell me Josh Allen over Mahomes. No, is Josh Allen playing really good? Yeah. Is he better than Mahomes? No, of course he isn't. So, yeah. You got to win the turnover battle. You cannot lose. Okay, I am so sorry. Yes, my nose is just itching today. I don't know. There is no way Cleveland loses the turnover battle and wins this game. No way. You got to go ahead and get a fumble, get a pick. You got to have something happen. The Cleveland Browns lose the turnover battle, they will lose this game. There is also, you need to have these two things work. Okay, first of all, you got to have these two things work for this reason. And then Myles Garrett needs to have a big game. And one thing I kept on hearing this year was that Myles Garrett's really strong against the run. And I keep hearing it, but I don't see it. Every time I see a team run, I see Myles Garrett like kind of get there late. Every time I've watched the Browns play, Myles Garrett looks disinterested in stopping the run. Now you're playing against Kansas City Chiefs, which likes to throw the ball. Myles Garrett has to be a factor, period. He's got to pressure Mahomes. He's got to make plays behind the line of scrimmage. He has to stop the run, which Kansas City will use every now and then, more than likely to set up the pass. He has to have a big game. I'm not talking a sack and a half and 2 tackles. No, I mean, he needs to be a factor consistently. He has to have a big game. Montana said Brady is the GOAT. So, I mean, it's hard to argue. I can't say. When it comes to great quarterbacks, you cannot sit here and say Brady is not the GOAT 100%. No questions asked. Can't do it. You can debate. Brady has to be part of the debate. He has to be part of it. Is he the greatest? It's debatable. I'm old school. I like Johnny U. I like Johnny. I mean, it's hard to argue a guy who just on the fly in a championship game just made up the 2-minute offense. I mean, it's something you can't. It's something that you can't compare apples to oranges with. But if you want to say Brady's greatest of all time, I can't argue that either. A lot of things that Brady has done. I don't know. I actually went through. I'm going to say read, but I like skimmed through it because I looked at it at the bookstore. It's like $40. I'm not going to pay $40 for a book. But yeah, did I get some coffee, sit at a bookstore and go through it? Yeah. And like a lot of what he's doing is revolutionizing football. He hasn't lifted weights in years. He does something called band training, if you're familiar with that. He doesn't lift weights. He's actually changed his body to be more flexible, more pliable. So that when he gets hit, his muscles are less likely to snap, break, etc. It's actually fascinating. And then his trainer actually had an office at Gillette Stadium. And then 2 years ago, late in the year, Bill Belichick ordered the guy out, and that's kind of like the long story. Okay, sorry about the rant, but yeah, yeah, you can't argue Brady is not the GOAT. I don't know if he is, but you can't argue. You can't sit here and say that definitely he's not. Deacon Jones, GOAT DN. I was going to say that. Yeah, I'm going to give you credit for it. Yeah. And it's actually funny. I didn't read the book, but I do know this. Deacon Jones said that the reason why he slaps the head is that when you hit somebody in the head, they instantly blink, and that gives you a second to get around him. And yeah, you can't argue Deacon Jones wasn't. James, I have to do a retro show. I just don't know when, but I will do one. Browns winning. Browns have the momentum going into Kansas City, got guys back. Will not have a home game, though the Chiefs are basically destined to win this. I wouldn't count out the Browns. No, you can't. You can't count out the Browns. No. Basically, here's the thing. Here's how they pull the upset. Ground game, win turnover battle. Garrett needs a big game. Garrett's going to primarily, if they're smart, they put him on the backup right tackle. You run the ball. You got to do some other things too, like 4th and short. You got to go for it, and you got to make it. You can't have stupid penalties. I live in Kansas City. Right now, it's like a snow, sleet, shitstorm. If it's that weather at kickoff, the Browns have a huge advantage. I mean, it is garbage outside. It is just terrible. Sunday, it's supposed to be clear. I mean, if you're familiar with the Midwest at all, it could be 20 today, it could be 70 tomorrow. But yeah, it was actually nice yesterday. It was like 50, but we were expecting the snow, sleet, shitstorm. That's basically what it is outside. Right now, it's like snow, sleet combo. So, but Sunday's supposed to be clear. If it's not, massive advantage for Cleveland. Don Shula had 3 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. Oh, you're right. Yeah, you're right. Okay, yeah, you're right. I was going to say I was trying to draw a blank on number 3, but I forgot. I forgot about Unitas. So yeah, Unitas, Greasy, and Marino. Yeah. It's kind of funny. I think Shula is a guy massively underrated because he won his Super Bowls with run-heavy teams. Then he gets Marino and throws the ball all the time. And it's funny because he kept on saying the whole time he had Marino is that we're going to focus more on running the football. And teams are like, yeah, right. You got Marino. I mean, that's another thing is how good is Marino? Yeah. I know a lot of people don't think Greasy belongs in the Hall of Fame, but bottom line, he got there and he won a couple Super Bowls. And he was a pretty good quarterback. So Michigan is 2 foot below average snowfall for the year. Here in Kansas, believe it or not, we don't get a lot of snow, but we get ice. It's crazy, but yeah, we get ice out here, which really sucks. It's not seriously like a lot of times we just get like it rains, it freezes, it sucks, it's hard to drive, cars fly around everywhere, and it's miserable. Why I don't move somewhere warm, I have no idea, but I haven't yet. So, but yeah, it's not a lot. We actually don't get a lot of snow. It's right now. It's like a snow sleet shitstorm is the best way to describe it. It sucks, but it's supposed to be clear and sunny for Sunday. Wade Phillips says he wants to coach again. Says I want to unretire. Man, you know me. I love Wade Phillips. And Wade Phillips would be great in Houston. Wade Phillips would be great in Houston. I would take him as a defensive coordinator. I would take him as a head coach. I really would. But if you can get Wade Phillips in Houston, you know what the best part is? I could see Wade Phillips and Romeo Crennel working together. Crennel could go upstairs as a special assistant. Wade Phillips could take over that defense, and I think they would instantly turn it around. If I did not hear that, so I'm glad you said that. I am hoping for your sake he ends up in Houston. It would be a great fit. I mean, it would be a great fit. For those of you, I know James remembers Love You Blue, Love You Earl, one of the greatest moments in NFL history. I mean, Earl Campbell was a ton of fun to watch. I remember watching highlights of him. I actually remember watching when he was a Saint. So, but yeah. Urban Meyer's who, I forgot to mention that. Urban Meyer is in Jacksonville. Very interesting. More than likely, he's going to take Trevor Lawrence, not Ryan Tannehill, even though I almost called him Tannehill. And I will call him Tannehill probably at least another 50 times. But that's a good move. So far, all the head coaching hirings and all the GM hirings I've really liked so far. There's not one that I'm looking at and going, this isn't going to work. So, absolutely. And, I mean, well, Florida, but I get what you're saying. But yeah, they're going to tap in. And I think that's key, but I also think that Urban Meyer wants a lot of player control. And keep in mind, there's a lot of young talent plus a lot of draft capital that's going to be available for the Jacksonville Jaguars. So they'll be able to build that team up. I think they'll be competitive pretty quick. I don't think they'll be a playoff team next year, but it wouldn't surprise me if they went like 7-9, 8-8. It'll be very interesting because what I'm told is that because of Urban Meyer's health issues, he's kind of going to oversee practices. He's not going to get involved. I remember when he first went to Ohio State, people were freaked out because what he did is they had like a 6 a.m. practice. Then they would lock all the doors and they had all these trash cans and people are looking around and like, what's all these trash cans? And he goes, we're going to run. And there's going to be some guys that are going to puke, and that's what trash cans are for. And there was a lot of puking because they just ran. That's what they did. That's what he did, is that everywhere he went, every team he went to, he just had these guys be very well-conditioned athletes. He's not going to have that same type of mentality in the pros, but this is a guy who's been to many different training camps, who's well thought of. Coaches, he's been to training camps in New England. He's been to training camps. I know he hasn't come to Kansas City. I know he's been very close to the New England Patriots, been very close to the Dallas Cowboys. Even though he's never, quote unquote, coached with the pros, he has a lot of pro knowledge and experience. But it wouldn't surprise me if he morphs Jacksonville into a pretty good team very quickly. It wouldn't surprise me if they go like 7-9, 8-8 year one. And the Jets hired Salah, which I don't think will work, and the Falcons hired the Titans OC. It's hard to say if each one works. I think that with the Jets, Salah needs to work with Joe Douglas very carefully. They both have to be on the same page. That was one thing. I thought that Todd Bowles he got screwed over because he wanted to build that defense up in his image. He wanted a young defense, and then he went ahead and built the defense. They drafted Marcus May. They drafted Jamal Adams. Both of them were starting as rookies. Both of them were playing pretty good as rookies. And then the next year, they trade up in the draft to draft Sam Darnold, who was 21 years old. He was a redshirt sophomore. He's a guy that needed to be coached up, and you already have a very young defense on the other side. So then you go ahead, and I knew instantly as soon as they drafted Darnold, I knew Bowles was going to get fired. So then they bring in Adam Gase, and then they bring in free agents, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? They have to have a better plan than that going forward. But I do think that the Jets defense, which was not bad last year, could be better. And it's not, here's the thing, they have a lot of draft capital. They have a lot of free agent money, and they can fix that defense. The only question is, what do they do with the quarterback? I think they'll go ahead and move on from Darnold, but let's say they keep Darnold, okay? Let's just say they keep Darnold, all right? You got, if I remember right, they have 2 picks in each of the first 2 rounds, plus you get that early pick in round 3. If I remember correctly, it's 5 picks in the first 70. Am I spitting? I'm sorry. I'm that jacked up, but you have a lot of trade capital and a lot of salary cap room. Your left tackle is Mekhi Becton. You don't need. I'm seeing mock drafts that they're going to go offensive line. They're not going offensive line, at least not at 2. I can promise you that. They got Mekhi Becton, so you have your franchise left tackle in place. Denzel Mims has all the talent to be a number 1 receiver. Quinnen Williams is a guy that you need for that front 4 to succeed. So you got 1 of the 4. Out of the 5 draft picks they have early, they're going to use a lot of that to build up the front 7. But the backside of the secondary, I really like. They had 2 rookies. They had Bryce Hall and the kid from Cal. I'm drawing a blank on his name. I really like him and Marcus May, who may or may not move on. But if you keep Marcus May, you have your secondary impact. You have Quinnen Williams. You have some pieces that you can work with. So I don't know about that, but I do like the fact you had an analytical offensive mind where you go and you move on from that, and you have a player's coach on the defensive side, and your defense is pretty similar. The difference is that Greg Williams preferred more of a blitzing, confusing type of defense. Salah's going to really dumb it down and just try to win with the front 7, the front 4. So. I'm back for a minute. What about Dan Campbell being called the front runner in Detroit? I would love it. I saw something on Twitter that Marvin Lewis was the front runner. What the tweet was specifically was that Vegas odds were released. And if you follow me on Twitter, I think I retweeted it, so it should be available. If not, I'll try to find it. If you're not on Twitter, you can just take my word for it. But Dan Campbell was 5th. On that list. Bottom line, I think Dan Campbell would be a very interesting pick. It works because you're going in a different type of direction. I actually like it. I like it. But one thing I want to warn you about is that I like what they did with the general manager position. You went with a different model, but what he wants to do is bring in LA philosophy to Detroit. I can tell you this is a Chiefs fan when Scott Pioli, who was with the New England Patriots, tried to bring New England to Kansas City. It did not work. And by the way, you can't get any more anti-LA than Detroit. I mean, you can't find two polar opposites. So what works in LA may not work in Detroit. But I do like Dan Campbell going to Detroit. I think that would be a great fit. A former tight ends coach. You have a young, talented Pro Bowl tight end. You got to like that. You got to like that. So I do like that. But I like I said, I also saw Marvin Lewis was front runner. And what they were doing is they were posting something from quote unquote Vegas. Like I said, if you follow me on Twitter, I believe I retweeted it. But I like Dan Campbell a lot. Think the Jets will go for a QB, or do you think they'll go for a free agent or keep what they got? I think they will go with the quarterback. I think that's kind of the trend. You get a rookie quarterback. You hope he plays lights out right away. And I think that's what you do. And then bottom line, you give Darnold the opportunity this year. Or you trade him if he has trade value. You could go with Flacco. I think what they'll do is they'll let Flacco go. They'll give Darnold the opportunity to start. But I think that the number 2 pick in the draft, they'll take who they like. And bottom line, they already brought over, I want to say as the 49ers pass coordinator. So he's going to bring a Mike Shanahan type system. So they're going to be a running team. They're going to have a San Francisco style offense. And Mike brings a good point in here. I'm seeing it all over social media. I've seen it reported a couple different sites. I don't think it's 100% official, but I'm seeing it multiple sources. More than likely, I think it's going to happen. And yeah, I'm scratching my nose again. But yeah, I do think that they will take a quarterback with the 2nd pick in the draft. And then, and the reason why I say this is they have 2 picks in the 1st round. They have 2 picks in the 2nd round. So they have lots of draft capital. So that's kind of what I was thinking. Campbell's last year in the NFL was a player in Detroit. I think maybe a little bit of why the local media is saying it. The site that I saw was something from Vegas, and they were putting like the odds-on favorite. And they had Marvin Lewis as 1. I can't remember who was number 2, but Dan Campbell's like 4th or 5th. I forgot that his last year, I knew he's an NFL tight end. I forgot that his last year was in Detroit. But I think that would be a great fit, and I think it makes a lot of sense because I think he's kind of an out-of-the-box candidate, and that's what you got at GM is somebody who's thinking outside the box. So it's kind of interesting. Which way do you think the Jets go, Fields or Wilson? Funk thinks Wilson will go first. If it's me, I'm taking Wilson. Keep in mind, though, he's already hired, or at least, okay, I don't, Alex is saying it's not official yet. I thought it was, but he wants to bring on the 49ers, I believe it's run game coordinator to be offensive coordinator. So what you're going to see is a team that wants to run the football. If you want a running quarterback, you're obviously going to go with Fields. Now, if you're wanting a guy with just pure arm talent, the guy I'm taking is Wilson. I would be shocked if Wilson didn't go number 2. Now, here's the thing. Let's say that you like Fields. Can you flip-flop? Carolina picks 4th. Is there a chance you could tell Carolina, hey, look, you're going to have to jump up to number 2 if you want Wilson? We know you want him. And could they make a deal? Sure. Absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because one of the big trades was that when they went from 6 to 3 to get Sam Darnold, with the 6th pick in the draft, the Colts ended up getting Quentin Nelson, And then in the second round, they got Darius Leonard. They got 2 All-Pros. And then the Jets end up getting a quarterback who's not the guy that they thought he would be. And I don't believe that's any fault of his own. But bottom line, if they fall in love with Fields, they could actually move down to number 4 with Carolina. Carolina's a candidate. The Detroit Lions could be a candidate to trade up to 2. They could go after Kyle Wilson. They could also go after Fields. And bottom line, the Rams went from 13 to 1, gave up, I believe it was 3 number 1s to get Jared Goff. So it's not inconceivable that somebody from that organization makes that big of a jump. Me personally, right now, today, I'm thinking Wilson, but since they want to be a running team, maybe they want to take the bigger, more physical quarterback. His time in Detroit wasn't memorable. Injuries kept him off the field a lot, but he did have his best yards per catch of his career here. Didn't know that, and I did forget that he was with Detroit, but I do like that. I really do like that. And also kudos to Detroit for bringing in a bunch of different people. I think it's a smart move. I think Detroit's going in the right direction. It'll be very interesting to see who they hire. Last game is Tampa Bay at the Saints. The key to the game for me, the 3 keys that I'm looking at is who's the better quarterback. I know it's pretty simple, but bottom line, you got Brady versus Brees, 2 of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in the game. Brees is still playing at a pretty high level. I'm always surprised. Several people have already said Brady's the greatest of all time. Why aren't people saying Brees is the greatest of all time? There's a very good chance Brees has every single passing record that's known to man before he retires. No NFL quarterback's more accurate than Drew Brees. I'm not talking this year. I'm talking all time. I mean, there was a stretch where he was throwing 75% complete. I mean, it's crazy. You don't see it. I don't think I can honestly say I don't think anybody's ever said Drew Brees is the GOAT. Drew Brees is the greatest of all time. Why not? What more does he have to do? He did win a Super Bowl against Manning as a major underdog. He took the Saints after Hurricane Katrina and won a Super Bowl like 2 years later, or was it the year after? It was a major deal. Almost everything he did. I mean, look at the numbers. How is he? I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I'm surprised more people aren't saying he's the greatest of all time. Bottom line for this game, who is the better quarterback? Is it going to be Brady? Is it going to be Brees? Brees didn't win till he left Cali. You know, that's another interesting story. Was that Marty Schottenheimer was pissed because he wanted Brees, and they went ahead and got rid of him and drafted Rivers. And Marty Schottenheimer was livid because Marty Schottenheimer wanted Brees. And it was funny because they had Doug Flutie. So here I'm obviously, because I've known that Marty Schottenheimer was the type of coach he is due to his time in Kansas City. I'm like, well, obviously he's going to go with the veteran quarterback. That's Marty Schottenheimer 101, but he surprised everybody by going with Brees. He loved Brees, and apparently Brees and Marty had a really, really good relationship. But yeah, they did behind Marty's back. And Marty Schottenheimer was really mad about that. And then they ended up going 14-2 with Rivers. Had this great season. They had a great team. Lost to New England in playoffs. Then Marty was fired. It's really hard to go 14-2 and get fired in the NFL, but that's what happened with Marty Schottenheimer. So Saints will beat them. Bucks haven't been able to beat them yet. I don't believe he'll get it now. Brady is the GOAT, but right now the Saints are his foil like the Giants in the 2000s. That's definitely a possibility. I think the Saints overall have a better team, but that's kind of the question, is who plays better at the quarterback position? Which pass rush is better? That's another thing you got to think about. Who is it? Shaq Barrett. I don't think he played in that last game, but Shaq Barrett's going to be healthy. he's going to be good to go. Bottom line, pass rush is going to be important because both these quarterbacks are over 40. Very important. Leonard Fournette played pretty good in this game. Will Ronald Jones be able to contribute? Will he play? I really think that the Saints can go pass heavy. I think the Saints can run the ball. But I think for Tampa Bay to have a chance, they need to have a balanced attack. Don't get me wrong. They're not going to win unless Brady has a really good game. But they need to have it. I think Brees could throw the ball 50, 60 times a game and they could win pretty easily. I think Brady really needs to throw less in this game. So that's something kind of what I'm saying. I didn't know this until earlier this week, but teams playing 3 games where a team is 2-0. The team that is 0-2 is 2-5. You've probably heard the expression, it's really hard to beat a team 3 times in a row. Well, it's happened 7 times, and the team that's won twice has won 5 out of 7, 2.5 times more. Little Dan football knowledge here. Brees' legacy is hurt by postseason mishaps. Definitely a possibility. But I'm always surprised. I saw recently a top 10 quarterback list of all time. Brees wasn't on it. That's kind of par for the course. But here's a guy who's just thrown an insane amount of I mean, look, he will probably own every single passing number when he retires, but no, people aren't even putting him in the top 10. Or universally, a lot of people have said it here. Brady's the GOAT. Why don't more people think that Brees is the GOAT? But you're right. Postseason mishaps. Probably because Brees was from Purdue. I actually remember this, Mike. I actually remember this. I think his last game was against K-State, and Purdue that year was 7-5. K-State got upset. They were trying to play for a national championship, got upset in the Big 12 game, and were 11-1, and just didn't care. And Brees just lit them up. Had I think 500 yards, and that Purdue ended up winning that game. But it was mainly because K-State was wanting to play for a national championship game, and then they went to a December 27th game and just kind of nailed it in. And but yeah, Drew Brees was really good at Purdue. Did start all 4 years. He threw, if you watch him play at Purdue, they didn't even have the same type of offenses that they do nowadays. But back then, I mean, he threw the ball 50, 60 times every single game. They didn't have a great team, but he led them to a couple bowl games. Had that big win against K-State. I think it may have been his last year. But that game against K-State, massive upset. Taysom Hill is the X factor. Absolutely. Now, the Saints are only a 3-point favorite, but they're still favored. So I'm going to call it an upset if they win. But when you're a 3-point favorite, you're not a massive favorite. I mean, that's just the way it works. But here's how Tampa Bay can pull the upset. Pretty simple. Brady must outplay Brees. Bottom line. And I'm not talking statistics. He can't make a mistake. He can't take the sack. Brees may have 350 passing yards. Brady may have 250, but Brady's going to make the key play. If Brees outplays Brady, no way they win. Tampa must run the ball successfully. In week 1, they ran the ball for 86 yards, and that's not that big of a deal. But in week 9, they ran the ball for 8 yards. 8. All right? I almost think I could run for 8 yards. I probably can't. But, I mean, this is bad, okay? They have to run the ball successfully. All right? Now, they could actually get 86 yards, but on 3rd and 1, I don't want Brady to do the court, even though he's very good at it. I don't want to see it. I don't want to see on 3rd and 1 them run the ball and get stuffed, which is definitely a possibility. They have to have a balanced offense. When I say I didn't say outthrow, he has to outplay him. They have to run the ball successfully. And the pass rush has to be there. They have to rattle Brees. Alex has some great comments, as always. Brady has the most postseason wins than any other QB. He's done stuff barely seen. He was go down as the Babe Ruth of football. Brees was successful, hasn't done as much as Brady. Stats he has, playoff wins he hasn't. That's obvious. And a lot of it is, how much of it was Belichick? I mean, of course, now people are saying it's not as much of Belichick as it is Brady, but yeah. But he does point out Saints winning it. All right. Over-unders, I'm going to break down each game, and I am going to give you my opinion on each of these. The Rams at Green Bay, the over-under is 45.5. Green Bay is a 6.5-point favorite. This would be a game that I would take a teaser on. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. Out of all the games here, this would be the one upset. I really like the Rams here. I know I should say Green Bay, but I like the Rams, man. I just keep looking at this game, and I'm looking at banged-up offensive line. Bottom line, you have teacher against a student. You have the better defense. You have the better running game. And it's in cold weather. But I'm not going to bet this game. And if I was going to bet it, I would get points. But I do like the Rams. Am I betting against Green Bay? No, I'm not. But would I take the Rams to cover? Yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I would not be surprised if the Rams win this one. If you want to say, give me something, hot take, whatever, I'm going to tell you the Rams win this game. Why not? I'm not going to bet on this one, though. I'm not putting my money where my mouth is. But if I did bet this, I would use a teaser, and I would take the Rams. It's just so hard for me to look against the Rams. I just think they match up really good with Green Bay. Green Bay does not play well against a bye. They haven't a disciple of Sean McVay. I mean, the Rams, even with a banged up Aaron Donald, easily have the better defense. And Akers is a guy who it's not like he had a big regular season. He's been healthy. And he's just now getting a lot of carries towards the end of his rookie year. So he's well rested. But wasn't here for that, but I'm taking the Rams. I don't believe in Green Bay. They've kept the team afloat by their QB. I think the Rams will show them what they are. I'm thinking the same thing, Alex, man. That's kind of my upset pick, but I wouldn't put money on it. But I have a hard time going against the Rams. It's funny because I watch a lot of different shows. I've listened to a lot of different podcasts. I've heard people say things both ways. Bottom line, in the playoffs, it's hard to go against the better coach, the better defense, the better running game. And even though Goff's banged up, he's not a terrible quarterback. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. Next game, Baltimore at Buffalo. Over-under is 49.5. Buffalo is a 2.5-point favorite. I've been waiting for Baltimore to go to 3. I'm not going to put action on this. I've seen some good prop bets that are available. Nothing I'm really going to go ahead and offer as something great. I've heard Mark Andrews touchdown. J.K. Dobbins touchdown's also a good bet. He scored in, I think, 7 straight games J.K. Dobbins has. Could be snow in Buffalo, but I don't think there's heavy wind. Off the top of my, I'm going to give you my opinion. I think Baltimore wins this game. I think they have the better defense. They easily have the better running game. I think Josh Allen's playing better, but Lamar Jackson's no slouch. Could Lamar Jackson outplay Josh Allen? Absolutely. here you are, yeah, they're a hot team. Yeah, they're energized. What sucks that life out of you, though? A good defense, good running game. Baltimore has that. I think Baltimore matches up really, really good against Buffalo. I can make a strong case for either team, but I like Baltimore to win this one. I wouldn't take 2.5. You may be able to get 3, and you may be able to take teaser options here. You may want to take Baltimore at, if you can get them at like 9, maybe even 6, that would be the best option. This is going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be an extremely close game. The over may be in play. I kind of like the over regardless of it, but I like Baltimore in this game. Next game's Cleveland at Kansas City. The over-under is 57. Kansas City is a 10-point favorite. I thought, because of the shitstorm I'm looking at outside, that the over-under would drop. I thought people would see the snow and the sleet and the line would drop. No, because people are looking at the same thing I'm looking at, and it's supposed to be cleared up by Sunday. But if the weather is bad, everything's off. If you do any in-game betting, if Cleveland scores a touchdown, take whatever you can get with Kansas City, because they are very easily could come back. But let's just say Kansas City defers or Cleveland wants the ball first, and they score a touchdown. Start putting some action on your in-game betting and take Kansas City. 57 is a massive number. I'm hoping it will drop. If it does, I'm definitely taking over. As far as prop bets, I was looking at them before the show. Mahomes passing yards is like 320 or 330. It's a very high number. Kelsey passing or receiving yards is over 90. That's those things will probably hit. Tyreek Hill, I think, is 86. That might actually be a better one. Take the yards if you're going to take Tyreek Hill, not the receptions. Keep in mind you're looking at banged up secondary. I may put some of these prop bets, but none of them are really good numbers that I'm going out of my way for. I not only like Kansas City to win this game, I think they'll cover 10. I really do. I might take a teaser and take Kansas City to cover 4, but it wouldn't surprise me if Kansas City wins this game by several touchdowns. It really wouldn't. Bottom line, you have a passing team going against a banged-up secondary. Cleveland had their big win. Andy Reid, after a bye, is gold. So I definitely like, not only do I like Kansas City to win this game, I like them to cover 10 points, which I know is crazy because they haven't covered in the playoffs, or they haven't covered like the last 7 weeks. But this is a game, out of all the playoff games here, this is the one that's probably the ugly one. This is the one that could easily get nasty, and get nasty pretty quick. Finally, Tampa Bay at New Orleans. Over-under is 51.5. The Saints are only a 3-point favorite. I love the Saints here. The Saints have the better defense. They have the better offense. They are now getting healthy, which they haven't been all year. Michael Thomas is coming back healthy. And here's the thing, they don't even need him. Alvin Kamara had the COVID, but I think he's fine. He's now 100%. Brees looks like he's even if he's not 100%, he's still playing at high level. Bet against Brady if you want. I wouldn't, if you want to tell me Brady's the greatest of all time, I'm not going to say absolutely not. And then Brady in the playoffs is a different type of beast. And there's a lot of arguments that can be made for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. But bottom line, the Saints, the Saints beat the shit out of them both games. It wasn't even close. I think the Saints just have the better team. I really like the Saints here. As far as prop bets go, the best one's probably Brady and passing yardage. I think it's 300. Bottom line, I think Brady's going to throw the ball a lot. I think he's going to make a lot of plays. I think he's going to throw the ball for a lot of yards, but I don't see them winning. As far as teaser options are concerned, I think teaser options could be good for a variety of different games here. I know with my bookie, you can do a two-way teaser. You got to get 6 points for 2 different teams. And Normally, I don't recommend it, but if you are going to bet on the playoffs, take a look at some teaser options that may or may not be available to you, especially big ones. Like you may want to take the Rams and Kansas City in a teaser, get Kansas City down to 4, and then take the Rams to 13.5. It's hard to believe Green Bay and the Rams is not going to be a close game where Kansas City could easily blow out Cleveland. So. All right, let's hear these predictions. Rams over Green Bay, Buffalo over Baltimore, Cleveland over Kansas City, and the Saints over Tampa Bay. Got a few upsets there, but hey, man, that's what this show's all about. This show's never going to be everybody has to agree with Dan. I like the picks, man. We'll see how we do. Both of us like the Rams. And then both of us like the Saints. The other two games were different, but we'll see what happens. Andrew's touchdown, a good prop bet. Lamar likes him. He matches up against their linebackers. Yes. I saw another thing is that Buffalo has given up, I think it's like the third most receiving yards against the tight end. So like a Mark Andrews touchdown, I think will definitely happen. If you can get action on that, go ahead and take it. It wouldn't surprise me also if this was a high-scoring game, especially if it's just snow. If it's snow and wind and blizzard conditions and the field's horrible, I still might take the over because bottom line, Baltimore is going to be able to run the ball, and Josh Allen can play in bad weather. So the over is a smart thing. But, yeah, Andrews getting a touchdown is going to be good. Lamar Jackson rushing could be good. You could take a lot of different prop bets here. I like Baltimore, but this is one I could really make a case both ways. I as far as the Rams, that's kind of like my upset pick, and it's just I'm not going to bet that game. I'm not going to bet anything on that game. I might take an Akers prop bet just for fun. I'm not sure yet. That would be the only thing I would bet on unless I go with a teaser. And then if it's a teaser, then I definitely would take the Rams. I'll try to get 13. Hopefully it jumps up to 7, but we'll have to wait and see. Kansas City, I think, is easily the safest one. And then second one would be the Saints. So Saturday are the two games I think could go either way. Sunday, I fully expect Kansas City and the Saints to win. So you got to have an upset pick, man. You got to have an upset pick every now and then. One Pride 40 says they are hiring PC principal. That is awesome. I think that's a great move. That is a great move. I like it. I like the way the Lions are doing it. And by the way, if you hire PC principal, nothing is off limits for the draft. Absolutely nothing. You have they could do everything. They could trade up, they could trade down. You could have Stafford be the day one starter. He could be traded on draft day. You could bring in somebody off the streets. You could bring in somebody like Cam Newton. You may bring Jameis Winston. Anything could go. If you have Marvin Lewis, I think you have much more conservative. But if you go ahead and you bring in PC principal, if he is the guy, if this is official, if this is what the Detroit Lions are going to do, I love it. It's going to be entertaining. I'm not saying it's going to work, but it's entertaining and it's good for us. I'd love to hear what you think. I also want KC out so we can interview Eric. Yeah, I get that. I get that. And I by the way, as soon as Kansas City leaves, I think that he will be on a bottom line, unless Bieniemy bombs the interview, I think that when Bieniemy goes down in interviews, like for the second time officially, I don't think he'll leave. I think he'll interview. I think they'll sit him down. I think they'll have Deshaun Watson there, and I think they'll say, "Hey, let's just get it done." And I think that's what will happen. So, but I also think that's the reason why Houston's not hired anybody yet, is because they are waiting on Bieniemy. Music City guy, Green Bay over LA, Baltimore over Buffalo, KC over Cleveland, and the Saints over Tampa Bay. It's hard to argue with those, man. It's really hard to argue with those. I almost feel silly for taking the Rams. I don't want to go against it. I don't want to go against it, but having Green Bay lose at home to a team from California is weird. But I also remember the Mike Vick game where Mike Vick won in the playoffs up there. So weirder things have happened in the playoffs. So I'm moving around. My foot just cramped up like a motherfucker. So my apologies. But these are great picks. And anybody else have any good ones here? Alex in Music City Guy, good luck over the weekend. Anybody who's going to put some action down, I'd love to know what you're thinking about. I'm going to look at some of the prop bets. I'm thinking about still taking Mahomes. I'm thinking about Tyreek Hill. Kelsey numbers are really high. If it keeps climbing up, I might take under on the yardage because like 90.5 is a big number. It wouldn't surprise me, though, if he goes over 100. Probably won't. I might take the over on that one. I might take the Saints to cover. I might take Akers, but I have to wait and see. Unfortunately, it's going to be a thing where I'll have to let you know Friday what I didn't do. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong. I have no problem admitting when I lost money. I've already, since I collected from my bets from the beginning of the season, I don't have a problem losing the 300 to my bookie right now. I have I deleted it, but I closed the window. I have I think it's 198 if I'm correct, and I'm thinking about betting almost all of it this weekend, one way or another. So I'll let you guys know. Bottom line, I want to keep enough so if the Chiefs advance, I definitely think that. But I will admit this. The winner of Tampa Bay, New Orleans, I think will go to the Super Bowl. So the winner of this game will be my Super Bowl pick. And until Kansas City gets eliminated, they will be my favorites. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. Alex confirms Campbell has been hired by the Lions, hearing that Bieniemy or Staley could be heading to Houston. I think Bieniemy would be perfect. On that note, let's go ahead and let's end the show. I want everybody to have a great weekend. I'm going to do some shameless promoting here. If you guys need anything, you guys want to get a hold of me for right before the playoffs, my phone will shut off right before playoff time. So if you do need to contact me, I will answer. You can hit me up on the Dan Show. All my social media is also listed below. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. I'm thinking about doing TikTok because I'm told it's more than just girls dancing around, but I haven't done it yet. But you can follow me on social media. Of course, you can email me. Also, another shameless ploy here. Please give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below. It helps the YouTube algorithm, helps me out. It's something that I definitely appreciate. But the number one thing you guys can do is just join the show because ultimately the show is so awesome because I have some really smart sports fans offering some really, really good opinions, and it's a great show. So I'm thinking about taking Andrews, Kelsey, and the Saints money line. Those are all smart bets. How isn't he with the Saints? What do you mean? I'm a little confused, Funk. So is 1 Pride 40. Have a good one, Dan. Hopefully all that coffee and energy drink. You know what? Energy drinks really mess with me the next day. The day after I drink an energy drink, I'm like blue car, rawr! And yeah. I'll be grouchy as hell tomorrow. And also my neighbors upstairs have been dropping bowling balls on the floor, which they're nice people. They're just noisy as fuck. They really piss me off. So, Dan, how isn't he with the Saints? Dan Campbell, assistant. I'll be honest. I don't know. I honestly, I knew that they were talking to him. I had no idea that he was going to get the job until right now. So, I'm actually going to go to the gym right after the show, but I'll look into it. And then, unfortunately, I'm only going to do a show on Friday, but next Friday, we'll talk about it, go into some more detail. And of course, man, you can always hit me up via email or any of my social media. We can talk about things and go back and forth. So man, hey, I'm going to end the show. You guys have a great night.